What's up guys, and welcome to another episode of The Block is Hot. Today is Saturday, which means we're going over this week's CNFT market update. And as always guys, this is not financial advice. This is just some current stuff that's happening in the market that I felt like was good information for you guys to have. But without further ado, let's get into it. Before getting started here, guys, I just wanted to quickly self-plug my own project because I know a lot of people have been excited about it and wanting to learn more. Well, guys, I just dropped the first teaser, and it is the Block Investment Group. Now, the Block Investment Group is kind of the overall ecosystem or the overall umbrella company of what we're really trying to do here, and it more so represents an idea, a concept, a movement, a society, a community, more than the actual NFT projects we're going to launch within it. So hopefully sometime in the next week, you guys are going to see a little bit of the art. Make sure that you follow this Twitter though, guys. I'm going to be having videos on there that are exclusive to the actual project we're building, and you guys are going to see some behind the scenes stuff in the form of videos of just me trying to come up with the ideas of this project, how we really wanted to separate ourselves, what did we want to mean, and what did we want to represent as this whole entire thing. And on top of that, guys, we also just launched a stake pool, a block community stake pool called BIG, or Block Investment Group, and you can actually stake to there now and potentially be getting some future whitelisting benefits. We also have this whole entire EcoNikos whitelist collab, where not only you can enter in to basically get whitelisting for EcoNikos, but also for this project as well. But yeah, super excited about this, and on to the top 10 projects of the week. First things first, how is the overall CNFT market looking like when it comes to volume, guys? And it's actually looking pretty good, even with the downturn in the market as a whole in the macro sense. We've actually been getting an increased amount of volume when compared to 2 weeks ago, going from anywhere from 1.5 million all the way up to 2.4 million on the 24th, and then 1.9 million on the 25th, 2 million on the 26th, and then yesterday we kind of had a little bit of a crapshoot of a day at 1.3, but still looking pretty good overall. And one of the things that I want to bring up here, guys, is that OpenSea had basically announced that they were allowing Solana NFTs on their platform probably a couple weeks ago, and we didn't really see a spike at that time with Solana NFTs. But now that volume is starting to go and people are starting to pick up on Solana and using Phantom and those different things, there has been a huge push in price when it comes to Solana NFTs. So I'll probably start covering Solana NFTs more pretty soon. But the reason that I want to bring this up is because some of that volume is transitioning into CNFTs because people are realizing, whoa, there's other NFTs out there besides Ethereum that have much better systems when it comes to minting and the transaction fees, and basically maybe not as botted and scripted as Ethereum, even though Solana is actually even more heavily botted. But what's cool about this, guys, is I always like being in things before the wave, before the major things happen. So when it came to Solana, it made sense to be in some of the top Solana projects before OpenSea announced it, and we can expect on Cardano that if they added Solana NFTs, that they're eventually going to add CNFTs, and that eventually we're going to have a boost up in volume very similar to what happened with Solana. And that's just one of the many reasons I'm bullish with CNFTs, guys. I have experience in Ethereum NFTs. I have experience in Solana NFTs. I truly believe that Cardano NFTs are very undervalued, and I like the system and infrastructure on CNFTs a lot more than Ethereum and Solana. And trust me, guys, I've had a lot of experience on those two different blockchains. So just another reason to be bullish in the long run when it comes to CNFTs. And what's really nice right now, guys, is that a lot of these major blue chips, such as Spacebudz, such as Clay Nation and Ape Society, like those blue chips are super undervalued right now when compared to the US dollar value of them, because Cardano is only 45 cents. And a lot of these projects have been maintaining their Cardano level, but that doesn't mean they're maintaining their USD value level. So if you have a lot of USD or a lot of cash on the side, this is one of those opportunities where you might slowly get into some of these things, realizing that in the grand scheme of things, that this is going to be a good investment, but in the short term, it could go down. But yeah, just super interesting stuff, and that's why I like having money on the side at all times, guys, because you never know if Cardano is going to go to 25 cents, if it goes down to 50 cents. We were at a $3 peak, and now all of a sudden all these CNFTs that might have costed a boatload in USD are now all of a sudden almost like super sales. Now for the top 10 biggest movers of the week, guys, when it comes to volume. Number 1, we have Aquafarmers. 2, Spacebudz. Dead Rabbit Resurrection Society coming in at 3, then Chilled Kongs, Beast Boy Club, the Mandrillz, we have Introverts at 7, as well as Onboard Furbles at 8, Clay Nation at 9, and Salty Seagull Society coming in at number 10. The first project on the list was Aquafarmers, and I've talked about Aquafarmers a couple times now, and I really do believe that as a long-term investment, this is going to be a very profitable project. And the reason is, guys, is because you can get anywhere from 2 to 5% additional staking rewards once Liquid Finance actually comes out with their protocol, which should be this year. Now, one thing that I do want to mention with this project, guys, is that it is very utility focused as far as that passive income aspect. And we have to realize that that utility is not being realized until that actual protocol comes out. So there could be a time where these go down a little bit as people get bored and as the hype dies down as we wait for that utility to come out. But I do really believe that this is going to be a great long-term investment. And I personally have one of these commons as well as 2 of the rares. We could see us going all the way back down to, let's say, 300 ADA, and then in a very bearish situation, maybe 250 ADA. And at those price points, I think it's a really great buy. But who knows, guys? I mean, this is that type of project where as we get closer to them actually launching, I expect these to just continue to go up. And then once that is actually launched, I mean, you're going to have people like, why not spend, $300, $400, $500 if I'm going to be able to make $5,000 in passive additional income a year? So definitely a project to pay attention to. Next project here is Spacebudz, and Spacebudz has finally gone on a run, guys. Hallelujah. I have something to talk about with Spacebudz. Oh my gosh. It went from 5,000 ADA up to 6,350 ADA, and there is a lot of buzz going on with this project right now. 2 things that I want to say about this. Number 1 here, well, 3 things. Number 1, this is always going to be the safest blue chip. It is the Bitcoin of the CNFT space. So even though you might not get a bunch of gains all the time, I think a lot of people that are worried about, the overall macro market, but bullish on CNFTs in the long run, I think they're starting to look at projects like Spacebudz. The second thing here is when you go on their website, guys, they are definitely alluding to something big coming, and I don't know exactly what it is yet, but if they just randomly announce some sort of huge catalyst thing like that, then this sort of project can explode. And the third thing is there's rumors right now that they're going to do a special collaboration with one of the big YouTubers in the space, that has over 300, 405, maybe even 500,000 subscribers now. And if that happens, this could be something that blows up. So something to pay attention to. I do understand that this went on a crazy run recently, and I personally don't own any yet because I've been getting into different things, but the time for Spacebudz might be coming soon, and you definitely should be paying attention to the project. Next thing here, Dead Rabbit Resurrection Society. I actually did a much deeper dive on this recently, and I was really dissecting what they're doing, and I actually really love it. They're doing a lot of these like geo node things where they're having like these secret hidden things spread out around all of these different cities, and I've always wanted to do something like that. I feel like maybe a different life of me was like an archaeologist, and like I've always wanted to be a treasure hunter. I always wanted to discover stuff. So it's funny because like I saw some videos on like that whole geo thing like on TikTok or something a while ago, and I was like, dude, that would be cool. And that's what these guys are doing, and they're gonna do this whole entire event. They're really building a strong community. They look good. I mean, I don't own any right now, and they've gone on a crazy run, but this is a project that is definitely here to stay, guys, and I wish I paid a little bit more attention to it in the beginning. And I do think that this could be a potential blue chip in the future. Next project here, Chilled Kongs. Chilled Kongs has been chilling at this 3,000 ADA level as a lot of people are waiting for their Trippy Kong announcement. There haven't really been any announcements recently besides that addition of the merch that happened like a week or 2 ago, and they're starting to ship that stuff out. But yeah, I have one listed for like 3,300 that still hasn't sold. This guy, if anyone wants to support me, no, is it that guy? No, it's this guy. If anyone wants to support me, buy that dude up. But yes, I like Chilled Kongs in the long run. The next project on the list is Beast Boy Club, and this is a project that just released in this past week. They were selling 3,333 of their collection on Cardano for 100 ADA or about $50 US. And then when it came to Solana, they're also launching 3,333 for 1 SOL which is about $50 as well. Now, this launch actually had some metadata issues when they launched on Cardano that they're in the process of fixing. I don't know if they completely fixed it yet. I think they might do like a no rarity thing, very similar to Chilled Kongs and Zombie Chains. That's what they were talking about. But I personally was able to get one of these. I sold it for like quick flipped it for like 240 or 250 and got that clean double up. However, I do think that this project could do well in the long run, and I like how they pushed off the whole entire Solana drop till mid-June, so then that way the floor and the price and the community of this can really start to develop. It's definitely a project I have my eyes on. Their whole purpose is to basically link these two chains and two communities together, as well as have a DAO, as well as have like an alpha chat where people can provide information about different projects and stuff like that. So I think this could do well in the long run. I'm just waiting to see where it goes. If it goes back down to that 100 ADA price, then I'll probably scoop some up, or I'll wait for them to drop on Solana and see if I can get more for that, $50 price, because there's going to be an opportunity to get in this project, guys, for $50 again. So it's like, if you can potentially get in for $50 with Solana, then why would you buy it on Cardano right now for $200? However, just realize that if it's a quick sellout on Solana because it's super botted and super scripted, then that's when this project could really go stupid, because people could be holding out right now for their next drop and then just take an L and FOMO. Next thing here, the Mandrillz. Now, the Mandrillz just released a lot of information about what they're doing, guys. So much information that I was like, there's no way that I'm going to remember this. Basically, guys, your Mandrillz are going to have access to a land sale they do, as well as these handmade dioramas, as well as these banks. And the whole concept that they're trying to do, guys, is that there's going to be these banks that if you have these Mandrillz, you basically, and these companions, which, you can get these companions if you don't have your Mandrillz listed, which are almost like pets, I think. You're basically able to stake in that bank and earn interest on your Drills tokens. So you're going to be able to accumulate more and more Drills tokens. And then those Drill tokens are going to be used for a couple of different sales in the future, such as their low rider vehicle, as well as various airdrops that they're going to do. And they're also doing art airdrops and all that sort of stuff. I'm bullish on Mandrillz in the long run. Of course, we were going to have a profit-taking pullback when we went crazy. And of course, people were probably holding, just waiting for that roadmap announcement. But I honestly really like that roadmap announcement, guys. And I like the whole idea of those banks. And depending on how rare your Mandrillz are, basically is going to determine how much interest or how much money you're making from this. And it's also going to determine how rare your companion is going to be. So super cool stuff. Like I said, I'm bullish on Mandrillz. I sold like 2 of them around like 450 ADA or 400 ADA. I can't remember, just to take some profit off of the table. But I'm still holding a decent amount of these for the long run. Next thing here is the Introverts. Now, I just bought my first introvert in this past week, and I think I bought it for like 230 or 240 ADA. The more and more I look at this project, the more I like it. I think they're really building something special in the community. The art is special, the story is there, the meaning is there. Their inner cosmos idea with their point system is something that I'm actually doing something very similar to in the Block Investment Group in our first NFT launch. So maybe I'm a little biased, but I like their whole point system idea. I'm going to be doing things a little bit differently than them, but this is definitely a project that I could see doing well long term. It really does stand out and doesn't really look like too many other projects out there, and I just think the story is there, and getting in around this 200 ADA price is probably not a bad move. Maybe I'll buy a couple more. I mean, it could go down a little bit more, maybe 150, 170, 150 worst case scenario, in my opinion, unless the overall market gets shit on, which definitely could happen. But yeah, these are really growing on me. I like them a lot. Onboard Furbles is our next drop, guys, and they're going for around 102 ADA. I briefly covered them in last week's CNFT market update because they were also in the top 10. And once again, guys, they're in the top 10 and have had over 700,000 ADA worth of volume. And it looks like these guys are coming to play. And that 100 ADA support level does seem like it's been holding up pretty well. I still haven't bought any of these. I like what they're trying to do with the community and really helping a lot of art-centered projects out there, because there is a lot of stuff that goes into an NFT project that's a lot more than art. So being able to help them out with that is pretty cool. Yeah, just keeping an eye on them now. I haven't bought yet. The next project on the list is Clay Nation, and they just dropped an absolute bomb on us this, guys. All of these clay nations have been accumulating their clay token that is going to be airdropped in the month of June, which is literally this next month, which is a major catalyst news. Now, I don't know how exactly they're going to do this. I don't know if you had to have held this, and the longer that you held it, the more clay tokens that you've accumulated, and the same thing goes with their collab with Good Charlotte, or if all of these clays, regardless of who's holding it, have basically been accumulating, and whoever owns that clay or is holding that clay right before the airdrop is going to be the one that gets all the tokens. I hope it's the first part, guys, that has to do with how long you've actually been holding it rather than just like a blanket thing, because if it's a blanket thing, then it doesn't really matter in a sense, because all you're doing is you're increasing the overall amount of tokens that people are getting. So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you know, why don't we print more US dollars? Well, it kind of devalues the US dollars the more we have. So it's one of those things where it's like, if all of these clays get the same amount, then this is not really a big bomb that's been dropping, and it really doesn't matter because everyone's getting, you know, the same amount. It's basically just increasing the amount of clay tokens in circulation. But if it really is benefiting the holders, that was a really smart move, and I really like that. And even if it's not the way I want it to go, which is a lot more complicated to do on the tech side, it still shows that they're going to be giving a lot of these clay tokens to people that are actually holding their NFTs, and maybe that just ends up being a lot higher of an allocation when compared to the rest of their tokenomics, and could end up being pretty profitable, like the Ape Society token that just released recently. And kind of on the topic of these utility tokens, Ape Society token has been doing pretty well, and we saw that Cornucopias Kopi token has been doing pretty well. So it seems like some of these really small utility tokens are really starting to take off, and once you have their clay token, that could be something that is actually ends up being valuable. So something to pay attention to. They're also talking about, you know, basically implementing, they just partnered with a gaming studio, I think, that's going to help them get into the whole VR side of things when it comes to their whole entire metaverse and kind of game that they're creating. So pretty cool stuff. I like this project a lot. Next project here, the King Tigers. I believe this was the 10th project on the list. Now, this is a project that also released somewhat recently, like in the past 2 weeks, and I do think these look good, guys. I looked at their website and it didn't seem like anything too crazy, but they are giving their 3D print models so that you can actually basically 3D print these yourself, like kind of the plans for it, which is pretty cool. They're talking about making a board game in the future with the Tiger token. Pretty cool stuff. Their marketing seems to do pretty well right now, so it's just a project I have my eyes on. It's one of those things that I've been talking about week after week now, where I'm just waiting to see how some of these projects do after the hype dies down a little bit. And yeah, you might miss out on some like the Rabbit Resurrection Society, but now you at least know that Rabbit Resurrection Society is here to play, rather than something that could just keep going down and just die as a project. So yeah, keep your eyes on it. I don't own any right now. It is at a legendary ADA amount number until that gets bought out, and I do think they look pretty cool. So yeah, on to the next thing. Now, outside of this top 10 projects, guys, one project that has been piquing my attention recently is the world of Cardano. They actually just had these crystal drops recently, and by the end of this month, they are taking snapshots right now in order to get a free avatar airdrop that's going to be in their whole entire metaverse they're creating. And what's really cool, guys, is they're using Unreal Engine 5, and they've been posting some image of what it's actually going to look like, and it looks really good, and the different animations they're doing, the videos look really good. And it might be one of those projects that's slept on right now, just because there's so many different metaverse projects to come out and that have been coming out. The competition in this space is getting very, very difficult. And I'll tell you what, guys, a lot of these projects are going to fail. But World of Cardano has really put itself back on my radar since their drop. So maybe something to pay attention to. I don't own any right now. Next thing here is the Marsbirds. Now, Marsbirds are kind of a copy of Moonbirds that are on Ethereum. And if you don't know about Moonbirds, guys, they have a floor of 19 Ethereum, and they pretty much look like this. Now, these guys have been going up a lot in price recently. I believe the mint was only like 8, the number 8 ADA, and they've been doing pretty well. Their website looks good. They seem like they're doing a good job marketing. As far as a roadmap goes, guys, it wasn't anything too crazy. They were saying that they were going to try to build some sort of metaverse in the future. They're going to do different community activities, giveaways, competitions, competitions. This was their Project Mars towers, which is kind of like a little bit of a metaverse type feel. But yeah, I don't own any right now. I don't know if this is just like a crazy FOMO run where people are like, oh my God, what if this is the Moonbirds of Cardano? Let me buy in. And then all of a sudden the floor just keeps going up and up and up. And then you have more people FOMO and more people fall behind. So definitely a riskier thing to get into, but I do like their website. I do like their marketing, and I do think these look pretty good and have potential if this is not just a hype and FOMO situation. Next project here is the Salty Seagull Society. They just minted their whitelist today, and they're going to be doing the public drop tomorrow. I do think these look pretty good, guys, and when I covered this project, I didn't realize that their website was outdated and not showing accurate information. The owner reached out to me, and they aren't doing that whole real estate decentralized business idea that I was really worried about when it came to the SEC. Instead, they're going to have a DAO. They're going to have some mating stuff going on where you can mate these together in the future, and some additional utilities. As far as getting into this project, guys, they are doing their public mint tomorrow. So if this price is still holding up pretty well, maybe you go for that mint and you hold this, or you do a quick flip. But that 120 ADA for their 7,777 NFTs is a lot, especially when they had a little bit of controversy in the beginning, even though the owner reached out to me and cleared some stuff up. Next project I wanted to cover here is Claypez. They're actually finally dropping their white paper / roadmap tomorrow, and I think that's one of the reasons this project has started going up a lot. They also look really good, and even though they do look like Pez, oh my God, I was calling it Claypez again. Clapes. Oh my God, I caught myself. You see, I really do genuinely believe they look like Pez a little bit, but I do like this project. I don't own any yet. I do think that they're the fourth largest ape project now after Mandrillz as far as floor price goes, and they have a lot of potential. I do like them. I'm excited to see what's on that roadmap. I know in the beginning they didn't really have anything planned, but I think because their project is a lot more successful than they thought it was going to be, they're like, oh shit, like let's come up with some stuff here. But yeah, this could see a pullback after that major announcement, just because a lot of hype was building up on it, especially if that announcement isn't anything too crazy. It might get a good bounce off at that 200 ADA level if it does go down, but if they announce something crazy, it could go up. And that's why I kind of like that lending protocol, guys, where you can, get a loan on this if you're worried about which direction it goes, and you can kind of lock that in case it goes absolutely to the crap, or you could, just pay back your loan if it absolutely explodes and the roadmap does crazy. The last project that I wanted to bring up here was Cornucopias GTI Javelins, as well as their jets, and there is a lot to talk about with their land sale and how they're basically doing things, guys. And basically they made the announcement yesterday or 2 days ago of how their land sale is going to work, and they, in my opinion, did a different approach than what I personally would have done. And because of that, these GTI Javelins that were all the way up to 400 ADA have now gone down to this 220 ADA level, because it's going to be relatively easy to get into their land even if you don't own any of their projects. Essentially how it's going to work, guys, is there's going to be a total of 24,000 pieces of land. 240 of these are going to the team in marketing, and they're breaking this sale up in 5 days, going from June 3rd to June 7th, and you're only allowed to get one piece of land per account in each of these days. The land is now broken up into 5 different sizes. You have small, you have medium, large, epic, and then copious, which is the largest amount. And each of these pieces of land are going to cost a different dollar value, which I think is a really great idea, because ADA has been going all over the place, and expenses, let's be real guys, expenses are in US dollars right now. But essentially the smalls are going to be $102, $240 for medium, $375 for large, $755 for epic, and $1,500 US for copious. Now, each of these sizes are also going to have the ability to get a rarity as well. Very similar to the jets and javelins right now, you can get common, uncommon, rare, legendary, and mythic. And depending on the size and depending on the rarity, it's going to place you basically in a different area of the map, as well as have different land staking benefits and different airdrops. Now, this drop, guys, has allocations of supply depending on what tier you're in. Tier 1 being OGs, which were like the first 1,000 people in the project. Tier 2 being holders of their jets and javelins. Tier 3 being anyone in the Discord that's been there for at least 30 days. And Tier 4 is going to literally be just anyone in the Discord. And each of these days, you can kind of see the time frame of how these different drops are going to happen, as well as the total supply. So as you see here, guys, there's 10,800 going to small, about 6,500 medium, 4,300 large. Epic has about 2,200, and Copias, which is the most rare one, is going to have only 240 in supply. Now, their allocations, in my opinion, and this isn't trying to shit on this project, I think that they did a misplay here personally. And I understand what they were trying to do. They want to get new people involved in the project while at the same time benefiting their holders. And I understand that if for whatever reason you weren't able to mint in your tier, you can drop down a tier and try to mint in that tier, even though there's going to be more competition. But I personally have been having the hardest time comprehending why 50% of the entire supply of this drop can go to people that literally were A, either not in the Discord, or 2, literally don't hold the project. Because in my opinion, guys, a lot of people that own these GTIs, the Javelins, as well as the Jets, love this project. They are strong holders of this community. They want to grow with this community. They want to build with this community. They most likely, when they get this land, are not going to sell their land, but rather hold their land for the long term because they love the vision and Kopi Cafe and all the amazing things that this project is doing. However, when we look at people in tier 3 and tier 4, you know what this consists of, guys? It consists of a bunch of people that most likely are going to buy this project, simply flip this project, and kill the secondary. There are very few people in this tier 3 and in this tier 4 that are genuinely wanting to buy this project and just hold it for the long term. Because to be honest with you guys, if you're a believer of this project, then why haven't you already bought one of their 25,000 vehicles or 26,000 vehicles? And it's one of those situations. I understand you want to get new people into the project, but here's the problem. You aren't Chilled Kongs or Clay Nation where the floor is 3,000 ADA, where a lot of people can't afford to get into the community. The floor for your Jets and Javelins are only 220, 230 ADA. So if you want to get new people into this project, then why is the minimum price for the land $102 US, which is the same price as the Jets and Javelins? Like, in my opinion, it's like you're not really getting any new people in. All you're doing is you're giving more land to people like me that are going to have 50 accounts and try to get as many pieces of land as possible and probably flip some and probably keep some for the long term, rather than actually giving the land priority to people that hold these Jets and Javelins. Because yes, guys, a total of 10,600 are going to be allocated to tier 2 holders. But if you look at the actual amount of unique wallets holding this project, between the Javelins, which have over pretty much 6,000 and 6,000 for each of them, you have at least 12 to 13,000 unique wallets, but they're all going to be competing with each other to only get 5,000 pieces of land. And then the same thing goes for their medium plots. You still have all 13,000 of those people, but now they're competing with only 3,000 supply. And it gets harder and harder and harder. And then you look over at tier 3 and you're like, how come people that just entered this Discord a month ago that could have entered with hundreds of accounts or 50 accounts, how come they have 70% of the supply of what tier 2 has? How come they have the same amount of supply for copious plots, which are the most valuable plots? I could rant on and on and on about this, and I love Cornucopias. I think this land is going to do very well in the long run, guys, but I really am having a hard time comprehending why they're doing this. And I actually added up the total USD value of what they're trying to do here, and it's about $6 million US, guys, which is about 12 million ADA worth of money, and that is a decent amount of money. I do think these are going to do well the long term, and if you were trying to get into this project, guys, I wouldn't even worry about getting a GTI Javelin or Jet. Most likely, you're going to have a decent chance in this tier 3 or in this tier 4. And if you hold some of those GTI Javelins or Jets, which at this point in the game, guys, I wouldn't sell. I think it's better to just hold for the long term. You are probably going to get some of these additional pieces of land and at least have that, third and fourth chance here. Now, the other thing that I want to bring up here is just what I think is the safest thing to go for. Well, guys, even though copious plots are $1,500, there's literally, 160, 240 of them? This is going to be your best buy. If you are going for this drop, I would prioritize being as fast as possible to get these copious plots. And it is going to be very, very difficult to get in with these Copies plots. Honestly, the Copies plots should have all gone to only holders, because this is by far, guys, going to be the most valuable land, and this is definitely what you're going to want as far as a long-term investment. I think the second less risky thing is probably going to be the small plots, because if you add up the numbers, guys, small plots are accounting for about 1.1 million US dollars. The actual medium plots are going for about 1.5 million, 1.6 million for the large, 1.4 million for this epic, and then it's only 360,000 for these copias, and that's another reason why these copias are just going to be so incredibly valuable. So in my opinion, these small plots are probably going to be the safest buy, especially since they're going to be around this floor. And then after that, these epic, large, and mediums are all probably going to be around the same range. I'd probably put epic as the next best buy, then I would go to medium, and then I would probably go to large. You could probably interchange this medium and large. Yeah, a lot to talk about there. I love Cornucopias. I love what they're doing. I understand why they're doing the things they do, and I'm incredibly bullish on this project in the long run. I am going to be going for that land pretty hard and buying a decent amount. I do understand 12 million ADA is a lot of ADA, and in the short term, you know, maybe the market is going to have a hard time sustaining it, especially since the overall market right now isn't too great in the grand scheme of things. But as far as a long-term investment, guys, I know that we can trust this team, and yes, $6 million does sound like a lot, but bro, if you think about it, like building a metaverse and doing the things they're doing in Unreal Engine and all of the work and time they put into this project, like that is a very small dollar amount. You have Econicos, which hasn't launched yet, hoping to raise a similar amount of money, you know, probably between that 5 million and 7 million US dollar range, because they understand how much it costs to actually build a metaverse. So when it comes to the actual prices of this, I'm pretty happy with it. I just, as someone that like, I don't know, I'm just like a very like logical economist type guy, and I feel like a higher amount should have been allocated, and I think that's why we've been seeing such a drop with these. And if you're still holding them like I am, dude, just hold on. Selling at this price point doesn't make sense. You're better off holding and just trying to get as much land as possible. Holy crap, guys, that could have been a whole entire video on itself, but this is really the biggest thing happening right now with Cornucopias. This is one of the most hyped up metaverse drops, and there is a lot going on with it. And even though I'm a little confused with how they did their allocations, I do still believe that this is a project where if you hold in the long term, this could be one of those things that are super profitable and could potentially be one of the biggest metaverses in NFTs and really compete with the levels of like Decentraland, just based on the stuff that I've been seeing. You know, I'm very bullish on it. But yeah, that pretty much sums up this video. Please check out the Block Investment Group and just kind of what we're building. Yeah, check that out, guys. I'm hoping that we can announce the actual art and showcase the art next week. But this week going on here, there should be some pretty cool stuff that I show you guys. And what's cool about being a YouTuber is you guys are going to be able to see like kind of like behind the scenes stuff and basically know a little bit more about the project in that way. But yeah, that pretty much sums everything up. Hope everyone has an awesome day.